Hey guys, this is Josh here with Trillium Wild Edibles, and today I want to share with you guys a video about 5 wild edibles that you can forage in the summertime. There are a lot of plants that can be foraged in the summertime, but these 5 that we are going to discuss are rather prolific, very tasty, plus they have the added bonus of being easy to identify. So without further ado, let's get right into it. The first wild edible that we are going to talk about is chicken of the woods. This mushroom is very commonly found on dead hardwood like oaks in the middle of summer and in the early days of fall. Its bright orange color helps it stick out like a traffic cone against the dark greens of summertime. This mushroom is widely considered among the top of edible mushrooms because of its mushroomy and chicken-like flavor. The inside of the mushroom even has grains that resemble a fully cooked chicken breast. This mushroom is easy to identify due to its colors and polypore structure. However, it does have a toxic look-alike known as the jack-o'-lantern mushroom. The jack-o'-lantern mushroom will have gills instead of pores on the underside, making this an easy distinction. There is another edible species of latiporous mushroom that has a white underside, and it is also edible. So, when foraging, it is important to look at the underside of the mushroom to make a correct identification. The next plant that we're going to be discussing is Spicebush, and as its name implies, it is a bush or a shrub-like plant that generally grows around 5 to 6 feet in height and is very aromatic. It has multiple edible parts and is easy to identify because it has no plants that resemble it in the eastern United States. Its aroma can be described as a mix of allspice and sassafras, though some get a sort of citrus-like aroma from it as well. This is a plant that is easy to notice in the summertime because of its bright red, oval-shaped berries. The rest of the year it blends in with the forest and remains obscured by the greens and browns surrounding it. The berries and twigs both have uses, except the seeds must first be dried and the seed inside the berry can be used as an allspice substitute in baking. Spicebush is very prolific in the eastern United States where it is native. It's also an important food source for the spicebush swallowtail in the early spring where the butterflies go after the small yellowish-green flowers. The next plant that we're going to be discussing today is Slender leaf mountain mint. It is an extremely flavorful mint that is great to use for mint extract because it has a flavor unlike any other mint. It normally tastes like a mixture of wintergreen, peppermint, and spearmint. In the early and middle of summer, it can take over whole fields with its bright white flowers, leaving a rather beautiful sight. Slenderleaf mountain mint is easy to identify because of its strong minty smell and extremely small and narrow leaves. The flowers will have purple spots in the throat, but the most noticeable of all is its smell. This mint is great when it's added to brownies, chocolates, ice creams, teas, or anything else that you would add mint to. It's normally in its best in the early days of summer, and by late July it is starting to die off here in Indiana, though it may be later or earlier depending on where you live. Another wild edible that we're going to be talking about is the mulberry. There are a few species of mulberry within the United States, but rest assured that they are all edible. These common trees are generally considered a nuisance because of how hard they are to kill, but they offer an abundance of extremely healthy fruit. The fruits of mulberries come in around the beginning and middle of summer and have a rather long fruiting season depending upon where you live, and they can also produce an abundant amount of fruit per tree per season. In the right conditions, it is possible to gather over a gallon of berries in under 2 hours using nothing more than a grappling hook and a tarp. The mulberries can be used as they are for baking or jams or jellies. They also make a very delicious juice drink when mashed and strained of their seeds. The berries are a great source of various vitamins and minerals and are easy to prepare into various fruit desserts. So rest assured, this is a wild edible that is easy to add to your diet. Now, the last wild edible that we're going to talk about is the summer oyster mushroom. And while it's true that oysters are more prolific during the early spring and late fall, there are oyster mushrooms available during summer. These are white on top instead of the typical brown that is associated with the fall and spring variety of oysters. They are delicious nonetheless and can be found in great abundance throughout certain times if the conditions are right. Growing frequently on old poplar trees that are dead or dying off, it's possible to find upwards of several pounds on one tree in the right conditions. Oysters are another very highly rated wild mushroom, and they can be found in supermarkets all over. However, the ones you will find in a supermarket are much different than the ones being talked about here. But their flavor is not much different, and these white ones from summer can be used in place of fall or spring oysters without much difference being noticed. So there's 5 wild edibles for you guys to look for throughout the summer months. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you all learned something. I thank all of you guys for watching, and if you want to learn more about wild edibles or medicinal plants, please make sure to subscribe.